Recording in progress.
I'm putting the title. You guys will get the message soon.
I think I should get a pen and a paper.
I think you should. Awesome. Raising special needs meets the African perspective. All right, we're back. And we are on Facebook. So I'm going to stay on my Zoom. Where did Giselle go? All right, Leonard, you hear me well?
Yes, yes. And I just shared as well.
Awesome, thank you. Let me add closed caption so we can have. Giselle, where are you? Giselle, where are you? Okay, Lena, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. I have no idea where Giselle went to, but if you're just joining us, this is Talk to Me Africa. I'll just introduce before Giselle gets back. Oh, we lost her. Hold on. Okay. I think she's coming back. Then we can kick started. Hi, Giselle. We lost you for a minute. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna admit where to join. This is Talk to Me Africa. I do this show because I have a background in broadcasting. I love communication, and being here in the United States, I realized that we have a lot of shows that we watch on American TV, but we lack some African perspective. So the purpose of Talk to Me Africa that I started is to address any and every topic except politics. And when I do so, I try to give it an African touch. So being here, we know that we have seen a lot of special needs children, but we have that American perspective of it. How do we as African parents raise these children? I want to say thank you so much to Leonard and to Giselle, who are the special guests for today. They are raising special needs children, and we are going to hear from them the challenges that they face in raising these children and also the beauty that they see in these children. I began by telling them earlier that my cup that I'm using on the show today is from Denise Joalis. She is an autistic nonverbal child, and she has this business. The cups are so beautiful. You can find them online on Amazon. So today we shall talk about raising special needs children, the diagnosis, the early age of raising these children, advocacy, exceptional skills, the future of these children, and how do you as a parent support your child as they grow up. So Leonard and Giselle, thank you again and welcome to Talk to Me Africa. I'll start with you, Leonard. How did you first find out that your child had special needs or your children had special needs?
That is a bit strange. I was thinking it's ladies before gentlemen.
You want to forfeit it to Giselle? Giselle, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let her speak first.
Thank you.
All right, I don't mind.
how did I find out that my child had special needs, or well, he has a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder on the severe scale? I think he was around maybe 2, and by then I noticed, he wasn't talking, he wasn't doing the normal stuff that you expect children of his age would do. I've been to my doctor before, and he told me, boys, they develop slower than girls. So I just took it. I mean, new mom in this country, I'm in London, in the UK. I didn't know much. So I said, okay, I listened to the doctor. Then it was a health visitor who came to visit me for my other child. And then she was observing him.
I belong to a lot of, I don't want to say groups. There are groups and stuff with
I'm going to mute those who are not. If you're not talking, please, if you want to mute yourself, I appreciate that.
I go after, try to know more about it, try to help and stuff like that.
I think you have the privilege to mute everybody.
Correct. I'm trying to mute everybody who's not talking.
In our community. Autistic kids and stuff like that,
Okay, Giselle, you can go ahead.
Yes, thank you. So after this health visitor, asked 1 or 2 questions, and then she said she was going to do a referral for me. So I took her contact details, and I was like on her case. The next week, I kept emailing her, have you made the referral? Have you made the referral? Then she did, and eventually, I was called to bring him in for some observation, which I did when he was about 2.5. And following that observation, he was then referred to one of our child development teams, where I was advised that, they have to do him a full assessment for autism. But, as a parent, by then, I'd been reading online, looking at information, myself and my husband. And, by then I started forming my own, judgment. I said, let me leave it to the professionals. And he was diagnosed when he was he just turned 3 years old. So he was diagnosed, he was non-verbal. He's 16 now, but he was non-verbal up to the age of maybe like 12. That's when he started. Now he can have some, he has basic language, he can say some basic things. I can have a chat with him, and I can understand him because I know his needs. Sometimes even without him saying something to me, just by the way he starts to react, I can tell what he's thinking. But it wasn't easy at the beginning. And even while he was non-verbal, I used to sit down and think, is he going to be non-verbal forever? Then I noticed that, sometimes in those early stages, if he wants something, he will point. So what my husband and I used to do is, if he points to a cup, I keep repeating cup, because I know that a lot of them, they learn by repetition. So I'll repeat cup. And then I also realized that when he's with his siblings, even before he started, coming out of his shell and being more confident, he used to chat a little bit with his siblings. But immediately he sees me or my husband, he goes back in. He won't offer a word. So what I used to do is, if I know he wants something and he desperately wants it, I keep, stressing on the fact that use words. I tried using, this picture exchange communication, which was being used in his school. But I was just giving some pictures and told, this is what we use in the school. Try using it with him at home. Nobody sat me down to tell me this is how you're supposed to use it. So I brought it home, tried to use it, realized he wasn't even interested in it. So I told the school, I said, well, I'm not going to use it because he's not interested. He wasn't even interested in it. So I told the school, I said, well, I'm not going to use it because he's not interested in it. So it wasn't until, I think it was about 3 years ago, I did a course. And
before you get into all the studies that you've done, you told us how you found out that he was autistic. We're going to get into all the process of you helping him and all that. So let's have Leonard take a turn and tell us how he found out that his children were autistic. I know you have 2 who are on the spectrum. Leonard, over to you.
Thank you, Mabel, and thank you to everybody that joined us meeting this morning. Normally, just like Giselle said, I also happened to find out my first son, who was 6 years old now, was diagnosed when he was 3. And when he was 6 months old, a regular doctor's appointment. Back then, we had a Filipino doctor because we used to live in Anne Arundel County in Laurel. This doctor was very good at what she does.
Mhm.
So she gave us the milestone, checklist.
Yeah.
After that was completed, and he asked me a couple of questions, asked us, my wife and myself, a couple of questions, and she suggested that my son get evaluated for autism at that early stage. We resisted. The 9-month appointment came. We went through the checklist again, the milestone, and realized he didn't meet a lot of them,
Mhm.
especially that had to do with expressive and receptive language. Again, we resisted, I think, until he turned 1. And then because we had that same mentality that boys are slow,
Right.
boys are slow. That's the slogan that goes around our community.
Mm.
So it was like, okay, it's gonna be fine. Boys are slow. Forget about this. American doctors, they will say yada 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 because they want to keep billing your insurance and
Right.
all that bull crap that people spill around.
Mhm.
So we kept on, and then we moved to Upper Marlboro. Now we had to switch doctors. So that's how we lost our contact with the Filipina doctor.
Mhm.
So I had a birthday party for my second son, his 1-year-old birthday. So I had a family friend who was like a big brother to me.
Mhm.
So he came at the backyard. We were having the barbecue. Everything was fine. And then he noticed my son, behavior. He noticed his behavior. And then he called me on the side. And he said, has this boy ever been evaluated for autism? I said, no. He said, does he talk? I said, no. He said he has seen a couple of threats already, and he thinks I should get him evaluated because his son was like that. And when he sees a child on the spectrum,
For
when
those who
he's
I'm admitting, I'm going to be muting you, and if you're not talking, please mute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead, Leonard.
so he said his son was like that. So when he sees another child on the spectrum, he can tell.
Mhm.
So he told me to start the process immediately before I regret it later in life. So from that time, I started with the doctor. The doctor gave me a couple of referrals, one were for autism, Kennedy Krieger in a couple of places. I made calls, and then COVID hit. So when COVID hit, now everything just went backwards. Doctors' offices were not, all these referral places were not answering their phone calls. I had to drive to a couple of places to see if I can actually have access. It wasn't. It didn't go. It didn't go through, and so I started sending emails upon emails, and Kennedy Krieger responded one time, and they said they'll put my son on a waiting list.
Mm.
Yeah, so they put him on a waiting list, and I was just sitting and waiting, and then I kept sending emails over emails, no response. And then sometime in 2021, I think, I have a friend. He invited us to, I think his mother's birthday
Mhm.
here in Upper Marlboro. So I went there, and then his wife happened to be a medical doctor.
Mhm.
So I went there, and we were chit-chatting on the side, and she asked me how are the kids and stuff. So I told her what I was going through with the diagnostic process and all of that.
Mhm.
And she said, don't worry, I know somebody. So she spoke to somebody apparently from Kennedy Krieger. So this woman, I think you know her, Dr. Etel. So Dr. Etel connected me to somebody, and that is how somehow, somewhere, I received a text message that I should schedule an appointment for my son. So that's the breakthrough that I had
Mhm.
at that time. So I scheduled the meeting for my son, and then we went there initially, spoke to the specialist and stuff like that. They sent me a survey to complete online. That was the first initial survey, the screening. I completed the survey, took a lot of time, 45 minutes to an hour, and it kept going and going, pages upon pages. I sent that one, and then the following day, they called me and they scheduled a 3 days appointment, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think another place, One Way for Autism responded with another online survey, but I already started the process with Kennedy Krieger. So I had to take my son there for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday
Mhm.
to meet with all the specialists. They besides filling the forms for the screening and stuff, they will have to interact with the boy
Right.
at least 8 hours. They will do 4 hours and then you take a break and stuff, break in between, and then different people keep coming into the room and interacting. So, and we went home, and the following week I received a report that he was autistic level 3. That's the severe case because he's nonverbal, and he's still nonverbal until now. He just turned 6 years old. So, I mean, he goes to special needs school and, go to ABA therapy
Mhm.
and speech and OT, but speech and OT is challenging because he goes to school full time. And when he leaves school, he goes to ABA for another maybe 4 hours, 2 to 6 p.m. And then, so he leaves the house at 6 a.m. He comes back after 6 p.m. So
Wow.
I'm still trying to find out a location. It's not been easy yet to find a
Mhm.
location for weekend sessions for speech.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean that's how I found out about the first one. The second one was showing little signs, I mean, mimicking ABCs and stuff, but not talking. So I was concerned. I
Mhm.
wanted to get him evaluated immediately, but my wife was resisting because she in her mind she thought that this guy was just mimicking his elder brother.
Mhm.
Yes, so she said kids copy a lot, so he's just copying what his brother is doing. So his brother is tippy-toeing, he's also tippy-toeing because he
Right.
felt like that's the right way to walk, you know, because he started making a few words and his brother is not talking at all, then he just went mute. That maybe kids are not supposed to talk,
Mm.
just pointing and stuff. But the difference we noticed was that he was too sensitive to sound, cover his ears when there's loud music. You take him out for the playground or birthday party, he will cry and want to leave the place, but he wasn't jumping around as his elder brother would do.
Mhm.
And then later on, he started doing mama, daddy, but not talking. If he wants something, he will say mommy, then he will point, just like
Mhm.
his elder brother, but he wasn't jumping around, but he was too sober and peculiar about certain things.
Right.
So he likes cars, and he will only want to play with a toy that maybe is movable, something that has tires,
Mhm.
and he will line them up. He will go into the room, start lining up everything, matching colors and stuff like that. One day, I came into the room because they have a very big ABC chart on the wall, and I
Mhm.
found this guy reading the ABC backwards. So instead of ABC to Z, he would say Z, W, Y, U, T,
Oh,
V.
wow.
So that's what he was doing. And then he kept, and then I watch him, I brought him to the numbers chart. He would do the same thing, 50, 50, 49, going backwards.
Mhm.
And then he want to watch the TV. He will maybe flip on the couch and they want to watch the TV upside down.
Okay.
So I went online and started Googling stuff, started, doing stuff. So a lot of pointers, like kids like that, probably on the spectrum, spoke to my wife about it. She resisted now.
Mhm.
She doesn't think it's just a delay, just a copy and stuff like that. Until this guy turned 3, not talking, the same similar threats and stuff like that. Yeah. Until now, he's 4, about to be 5, and he just recently, last week, got diagnosed with level 2.
Okay.
And he's talking, few things. And now, what I want to say about this second guy is why it took so long. We had a third boy.
Mhm.
This third boy, the same doctor, same vaccines, same everything, but he met his milestones.
Yeah.
Walked at 9 months,
Your third
when he was
child.
talking, yeah, my third son, all of them are boys. So this guy is talking, eating because his two other brothers are picky with food. You know, this one just want to eat Doritos, the other guy just want to eat fufu without any soup or nothing, just want to eat fufu and maybe pizza. But the third guy, he eats everything. He talks, shout, and now he's the big brother at home. You stand up, you sit down, you come here, say good morning. You know, now he's the teacher. He just
Right.
turned 3, but he was talking since he was 1. You know, so I started asking my wife, you said Liam was copying Ludwig, but why is this guy talking? But he is in a house with 2 other brothers that are nonverbal, don't talk, that do their own thing. And now he is doing everything as a normal boy.
Right.
So why isn't he copying from 2 of them? So something should be wrong with Liam too. And that's when I pushed for him to get diagnosed as well. You know, so it wasn't just the, bad habit of copying his elder brother or, boys are slow and stuff like that.
Right.
Because the third guy opened our eyes
very quickly.
very
He was.
quickly.
Let me stay with you before I go back to Giselle in a minute. You have 3 children. The first one, autistic. For a quick definition here, I did some research that autism, which is also called the autism spectrum disorder or autism spectrum condition, is a neurodevelopmental disorder marked by deficit in reciprocal social communication and the presence of restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior. You have the first child. You go through his diagnosis. I heard some resistance in the beginning of the first with the first child. You had the second one, and you went to the same diagnosis. How courageous are you to keep having children? Somebody just said that online, that you are courageous, brother. Because I know somebody who said, I'm not having any more kids because I am scared of even helping myself support this one.
I mean, being scared and being worried about things that you have no control over.
That's right.
Doesn't help you in any way.
That's right.
You know, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of research. I talk to people. I'm into forums. I go online. And recently, I am somebody that my wife always accused me that these boys are picking my genes because I'm interested in certain things and I'm not interested in certain things. For example, I don't watch movies. I don't watch series. I don't care who acted the movie. I don't even know who the best actor is or who acts what. I'm not interested. I've never been to a movie theater and I'm not interested. So I speak to people. I talk to people. So I was resistant about this TikTok app. Recently, I've been to TikTok and I regret why I joined TikTok. The amount of information I have grabbed from TikTok about autism is alarming. So I see a lot of, because no 2 kids are the same on the spectrum.
No.
But when I've been on TikTok and using the algorithm autism, it's mined my data. So when I go on TikTok, it's only showing me stuff about autism.
That's right.
I'm seeing a lot of similarities for my boys and other boys and what other people are going through and what other parents are saying and what they are trying and stuff like that. So recently, I think it was last year when I joined TikTok, I stopped giving my kids dairy products. So they like milk, of course, autistic kids of milk. So I stopped giving them dairy milk. So I only buy almond milk or any milk that doesn't have any milk that is not dairy, because we have other forms of milk. Yes, it's not cow or anything like that.
Goat,
and another thing I took out of their food is gluten, because both of them used to suffer constipation a lot. So in that, their gut, if you talk to most autistic parents, they battle with that. Their gut is not as good as normal kids. They'll suffer constipation. Sometimes they can go for a day or 2 without stool, especially when Ludwig was young. They always had to, his mother always had to pump him the African way for him to stool. Yeah, because he would just take milk and keep going and never go to stool. Liam, same thing, because he only eats chips. He only wants Doritos, not just chips, because I'll buy a box in Costco and then he wants the one that has the blue and plastic.
Just a specific kind that
Doritos.
he wants.
That one, when that is done, That's
No
what
other
he's
thing can
done.
he
Yeah,
eat.
I have to package it and send it to Cameroon. He will not eat anything else, just that particular Dorigo and chocolate chips.
Mm-hmm.
He love it. Yeah, and maybe apple juice, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
No other type of juice. You know, he will smell it and just put it away. So I now have to buy some organic. There's some type of there's a farmer that has a brand in Giant. They have some cookies that looks like chocolate, that looks like chocolate cookies, but it's
Mm-hmm.
non-dairy. It's gluten-free, sorry,
It's gluten-free, yeah.
gluten-free. So I took that out of the food. I mean, Liam is picking up, especially because he's bonded so well with his younger
With
brother.
his younger brother, yeah.
So his younger brother is pushing him. You know, Liam used to sit on the same spot on the floor and building railroads with toys and building different things and not wanting to be bothered. But his brother would put all that away. He would get
Right.
frustrated and cry that he built something, his
Right.
younger brother would destroy it because his younger brother wants to engage in the play.
Mm-hmm.
So both of them now running around the house and destroying everything.
That's
Because
good.
Liam used to be very, very static. You know,
Okay.
so until we thought he had motor, you know, um, the motor skills were not that developed, but now he is the strongest guy. He would run and jump. When I take them out to playgrounds like Hyper Kids,
You let them do things.
yeah, he will
Yeah.
slide on the slide. He will go to the swing. He will play. But at first, we were worried that this guy was very weak,
Right.
especially because he doesn't really eat food.
Right. We'll get
Just
more
chips and
into their
stuff.
behaviors. A lot of love is pouring for you and Giselle online. I want to this one from somebody called Walem Kecha, who says, sending you and your partner hugs. I am currently doing my research topic on ASD, and I can only imagine how challenging this is for you. But trust me when I say it will only get better. Let me go back to Giselle. Why I talked to you, Giselle, about this, because I saw something you had put online that when your child first got diagnosed, you were resisting. She said that she put herself on the floor in the African way and cried as somebody had died. Now you accepted after that resistance. Talk about your son at that early age. He's talked a lot about his sons, you know, how they eat and how they play. Talk about your own child at that early age before he started going to school. How did you help him coordinate his daily activities, his behavior, and help him to just adapt to eating and living a normal kid's life? I will unmute you, Giselle. I think you're muted. Let me see.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, like Leonard has said, it wasn't easy.
Mm.
Like you rightly said, you know, when I finally got the diagnosis, I had a suspicion in my mind already. You know, you just need maybe sometimes you just need a professional to put a name to it.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept going on, to be honest. I kept going on, you know, reaching out to professionals, asking, you know, how best am I going to support my child?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, when I went online also to one or two forums, you know, what I keep hearing from parents is it's not about the diagnosis. It's not about you, you know, taking everything on board. What is the most important, or what parents find the most difficult, is getting the support that your
That's
child
right.
needs.
I agree.
So, and then, you know, you have to take into consideration that my child doesn't have a voice,
Mm-hmm.
and you are supposed to be the voice for your child. So I remember when he started reception, or what we call class 1 in primary school in Cameroon.
In Cameroon, yeah.
We had a meeting prior to that. I was told, you know, he will start, they do what they call settling in for a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
The children come like half a day, then after that, they start coming full time. I was told he will come for 1 hour a day, and then after that, he'll start, you know, after 2 weeks, once he's settled in, he'll start coming in full time. After 2 weeks, I approached the teacher. The teacher said, oh no, let's give him another 1 week. Then 1 week later, I asked the dad when he was picking him up for school, that please ask the teacher, when is this boy going to start full time? Because it's like most of the time I'll take him to school. I just go outside the school, sit by the bus stop, and then wait for 1 hour, and then go back and take him back home. And then the teacher told me that, you know, he's going to go on like this for the rest of the term. We can review it in January.
I think we're losing your audio, Giselle. Give it a second.
In the living room closed
Okay.
the door. My kids were in their bed sleeping with their dad. I was in the living room. I sat down on the floor. You know how would the cry die for Cameroon?
Yeah, it's like
See,
I remember
I
you
carry my
said
hand and
that.
put her for my head. I
Mhm.
cry. I roll for floor. That
Why
means I
me?
don't
Why
pack my
me? Why
skin.
me? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, you know, I asked all sorts of questions. I cried like that for like 3 hours, non-stop.
Mhm.
I don't cry so I no fit breathe. I rest. Then I say, okay, I've let out the emotion, but the problem hasn't gone away. So
Mhm.
what do we do to solve this problem? I said, okay, I went back to I said, I don't know anybody, but I'm going to reach out to certain people, and I'm sure somebody somewhere is going to point me to the right direction.
That's right.
I went through a list of all those professionals who diagnosed him. I started emailing. I copied about 30 or 40 people in those emails, to the extent where I think it was a Monday. One of them reached out to me, and then he said he was going to call the school and arrange a meeting. We went to the school, and after the meeting, the very next week, he was placed straight on full time. So it wasn't easy. And it's later on that I realized that I'd been going through sclerosis, grief, because when you have diagnosed with a lifelong disability, it's never going to go away.
That's right.
You grieve for that child. You grieve as if you've lost somebody, like somebody has died, because you kind of think of what could have happened in future, what could have, what waiting my child, waiting my in future.
We're going to get into
You
the
have this
future.
dream.
Giselle, just pause right there. The future of your child is part of the discussion today. But let me stay with you for a second. Advocacy. After you accept the diagnosis, somebody says acceptance has never been easy. That's on Facebook. I agree. And another person said it is difficult to take it in. Now you've taken it in. Start advocating for your child to get health care, to get education, and then we'll go to that after that. So you've talked a little bit about education. They start taking the kid in for a half day in school. You want full day. How did that go? And how do you get more medical support for that child?
No, he had his full, once he went full time, but 2 incidents happened that got me, to think seriously. And the first one was he had a full-time teaching assistant who was employed just to provide him with support. So they have their class teacher, and then he had this full-time teaching assistant, which our local authority, or the local council where we're living, was paying for that teacher to be there just for him. Then he ran out of the school gate. And when I was told, I kind of like laughed it off, because I know he's done that with me as well. But I told the school that, you need to take measures and be, a little bit more careful. It happened the second time. I told the school, I said, no, we can't go on like this. And within a week, the school had to change their whole system.
Just because of him.
They had to change everything, where they have to open it remotely, because they didn't want another incident like that to happen. So I sat down and I was thinking to myself, this was a Catholic school, one of the best schools where we were living. I asked myself the question, is my child being in this school because I, as the parent, want him to be there, or is this the right environment for him? Is this the right educational placement for him? And after thinking about it for a while, I had to tell myself the honest truth that no, I don't think this is the right placement for him. My husband didn't want to hear anything about it. I went to a special needs school. They took me around the school. I observed everything. I came and managed to convince my husband.
That's a different school now you went to.
That's a different school. This one is a school for children with additional needs.
Got it.
I managed to convince my husband, took him to this school. We went around the school. After like an hour or so, we came back, and he told me, he said, I can see Angelo, thriving in this environment. He accepted. He said, I can see him thriving in this environment. But it was very devastating for him as well, because as individuals, we all take things differently. Because I remember when we came out of that special needs school that day, seeing so many children with different needs, different additional needs, he broke down in tears. He cried like a baby. And I told him, I said, it is well. There are things that maybe it's me. I can look at a child with additional needs, will be doing certain things. There are things that nobody, a right thinking person will not think is funny. But I see something funny in it, because I don't know, maybe it's my son rubbing off me, because when you're crying, he's laughing. At home, we know that he's like that. But when we are out in the community, it kind of gets me into trouble a couple of times because something will happen. Maybe a child will fall and they are seriously injured or something. He'll be
Then he
laughing
starts
and rolling on
laughing.
the floor, And I'm trying to apologize and say, I'm sorry, it's because he's autistic. He doesn't understand, So
So
what
did you
I've
move
also
him to
found
this new
helpful,
school now? Did you move him to this new school?
yes, I did. So I pushed
Okay.
hard for it. At that point, nobody was listening to me. I went back online. I said, okay, who is the director of children's services in my area? I didn't even know who it was. I went and searched online. I got his name. Then I said, I'm going to figure out his email based on the professionals who are working in that local authority. I was able to piece together his email rightfully, but I didn't know until it was the educational psychologist called me to do an assessment. And then she made mention of the fact that, oh, you wrote to our director. Then I asked her, I said, oh, did he get my email? But I didn't even know. So we went through that process. The educational psychologist had to come and assess it in that school to see if it's the right placement or not. Then I was told that I'm going to hear from them within a particular period of time. So I went online. We have what we call Special Educational Needs Code of Practice here in the UK. So for any parent who lives in the UK and you have a child who has additional needs, make the SEND Code of Practice your Bible.
Okay, can you say that again for UK parents who might need to understand? What did you just say they should do?
They should make the SEND Code of Practice, Special Educational Needs and Disability. So it's SEND, SEND Code of Practice.
Okay.
They should make it their Bible, their first point of call. If you want to challenge the school for whatever thing, make it your first point of call. Because I read that document, I looked at the time scales. If the government says the time scale is 2 weeks, I expect to hear from you by 2 weeks. If I wait after 2 weeks, I don't hear from you, I start writing to you. And I don't just come and write to you to make you know that I know my rights. I start quoting the sections in the SEND Code of Practice, which says by this time, so and when
to build advocacy for your child, yeah.
Yes, when these professionals are faced with parents like that, they don't sit on their laurels. They make sure they do what they are supposed to do. What I've also come to realize, because I work in a children with disabilities team, and I come across a lot of Africans. Unfortunately, the way we were brought up culturally, we are not used to challenging authority. So we end up at the losing scale of things. We tend to lose a lot when we find ourselves here in Obodo Oyibo. We tend to lose because every little thing they tell you or they give to you or whatever trickle, you just take it as is the gospel truth. We are not used to challenging.
You need to be resourceful, yeah.
Yes. You need to be resourceful. You need to fight for your child because your child doesn't have a voice.
Yeah. What about the healthcare? How about you talk about education? What about healthcare advocacy for your child? Did your child get extra healthcare, the support that they're supposed to get as special needs children when it comes to healthcare? Did you advocate for that as well?
I've been lucky with him. He's one of those children that you rarely see him sick. So I haven't really had dealings with health per se. However, because of the fact that he could not tolerate like our normal dentist that we go to, he was referred for a specialist dentist. And that woman, she did wonders. She worked with him for years to the extent where by the time she finally retired, my son is now able to go to our local dentist. However, he still has a special needs. I mean, if you told me like 5 years back that he could sit on the dentist chair, I won't believe you.
Say no. And how old is he now again?
He's 16.
Okay.
He's 16. So puberty is also another story.
We'll get into that. Let me get back to Leonard. Leonard, talk about advocating for your children in education and also healthcare. What support have you gotten and are you getting that other parents can learn from? You're muted.
Sorry, I was talking on mute. It's a little challenging in the US. The structure is there at the county level to get help, but that is dependent upon income.
Okay.
So if you're in a certain wage bracket, you cannot get that help. Yeah, so everything has to go through your insurance. So, but I have written to my sons to Ludwig's school. I've also written to Board of Education because I went through his IEP. I don't know about UK, but here they have something called IEP, which is Individual Education program because every kid has to be taught based on their diagnosis and recommendations from the specialist or whatever institution conducted their diagnosis. So it's not like in a normal school where they have a curriculum, everybody sits in class and learn the same thing. You know, no, for special needs, every child has their IEP and they are being taught based on that. I went through, you know, the IEP is just some bogus, voluminous, you know, document, sheet of papers. If you don't have patience to read every line, then you might not even know what you're teaching your child. So I went through a detailed review of my son's IEP. I realized he's only getting 30 minutes of speech therapy twice a month. So I wrote to the school bitterly. If somebody breaks their hand, they see a physical therapy. If somebody has a brain injury, they see a neurosurgeon. If somebody's not talking, they should see a speech pathologist.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
if I go through my son's IEP and I see speech only 30 minutes twice a month, there is a problem. So I reached out to them. They said they have the experiences a shortage in this career field that is not just a Maryland thing, it's across the US. They have a shortage of speech therapists, so they'll have like one therapy go around so many schools, you know, trying to teach. So they try to make sure that every kid is being seen by speech therapy, which to me I think is still bull crap.
For 30 minutes for a kid that needs it.
Exactly. So they gave me numbers. I called the state. You call this person, they refer you to another person. You keep calling and sending emails. Yeah. So I've been through this. I have a PTO, a bi-weekly PTO that sometimes is monthly that I meet with it's ABA therapies because he goes to school and he leaves school at 2:00 and goes for ABA therapy with another institution, which is outpatient services. They call them helping hands. So every Monday, it used to be 3 p.m., but I push it to 4 to make sure that I can accommodate my working schedule with that.
Okay.
So we'll be on a Teams call. We go through what they're actually learning, what he's learning, and what is the progress he's made and stuff like that. We go through that, you know, and I have direct phone numbers of the clinical director and the behavior technicians, as they call them. I have direct phone numbers, so I call them and we text just to make sure. And also Ludwig's teacher, they know me.
Yeah.
They know this is not the guy to mess with.
You have to advocate for your child.
Yeah, I text them, I call them, and we were reviewing his report, and I show he's scoring A grade in math and other things, but this guy's not talking. So I reach out to the teacher. They'll be like, "Don't worry, maybe he'll send you videos to see how he's performing in class." He's not talking, but he can identify numbers. You know, he can play with numbers. You know, based on whatever they're teaching them. He does well. And when the first time I went to the back to school town hall. Like Giselle said, the other kids I saw in that special needs school, and I know that my son didn't even have a problem. Even though we were worried that he's not talking and stuff, but when you go to a special needs, if you ever have the opportunity to visit a special needs school, then you understand that, you know, there are worse cases out there. People are battling with Down syndrome and other things with speech impairment and motor. They're on wheelchairs and stuff. So my son can walk, he can run, and you know that escapism, like Giselle said, to run out of the school campus. My son runs out of the house sometime. If a lot of people come and they're talking, making noise, he will sneak out. If you come to my house, you see everywhere is barricaded like a prison yard.
For his
chains
safety.
And locks. Yes, for areas where he cannot reach. 2 weeks ago, I was in my sister-in-law's place. There was a birthday party, and because of noise and all of that, this guy took a chair, climbed on it, and opened the garage door and escaped. So yeah, they're smart.
Yeah,
you know.
We're gonna get into behaviors and tantrums. They are very smart children. But I want to read what Giselle put on the screen. She says we have the EHCP, which is Education, Health, and Care Plan, which is like the IEP that you mentioned in the United States. which
Yeah,
is
and
good.
for Liam, the teacher always shares, we have an app, the class activity. 2 months ago, I realized the sharing class activity of other kids, and I'm only seeing Liam in an obscure picture, and I cannot really see what he's doing. So I lashed out, and she apologized, and she told me Liam is doing so good. That's why she didn't feel like she should specifically capture whatever he's doing in class. I was like, no, I need
Did
to
she
know
really
what it,
say that?
yeah, I need to know.
Do you sense discrimination?
Yeah, so from that time, from that moment, each time I get an alert on my phone that class activity report updated, I go in there.
Okay.
Liam is always the first boy. I see what he's drawing or whatever he's painting, and I need to see his face and I need to see what he's doing. So Liam will have about 3 pictures. I don't care about the other kids. Their parents can advocate for them.
Advocate for them, yeah.
Yeah, so because at first my son was, I felt like he was being relegated, not being putting a
Giving full
spotlight on her,
attention.
giving
Yeah.
full attention. And,
Mhm.
I lashed out at her. And now each time I see an update, I just go on there and then I see their class activities and stuff like that. Because I will check their backs, they'll just go to school and come back, nothing. Maybe they just go and eat and sleep. No, I need to know whatever is going on in this school, So like she just said, they cannot speak, right? And that is a big issue because you go around, people say, send that child to Africa, send that child to Africa, send that child to
Exactly.
Africa. How
Relegate that
can you
child to the
send
background.
like I asked somebody, can you really sleep at night if you
No.
send your child abroad and they cannot speak for themselves if something happens to them?
Mhm.
Like I have taken them to Cameroon one time and I will never do so until they're able to go by themselves
Mhm.
because the experience was horrible.
Mhm.
So I will never advise anybody to do that, especially for the nonverbal ones,
That's right.
because they cannot say, they cannot talk. The mentality, I'm sorry, the mentality in Cameroon is
It's
different.
so different, and
The
that's part of the
awareness.
discussion today. The Talk to Me Africa, this show, like I said, I handle every topic. I like to give that African touch. We're going to talk about how we would treat such children in Africa. I grew up in Cameroon, in Kumba. I remember going to church on Sundays, and there was this young man who was always in chains in front of his house. I'm sure he had some special needs that we couldn't tell. But again, they call you crazy man. They don't give you that attention because you have special needs, you're different. How do you handle tantrums away from home? You were already talking about a little bit. You have your house barricaded. Now, if you take your kids somewhere and they have a tantrum, how do you handle that? Giselle, start with you.
When it comes to behaviors,
Mm.
I've been very lucky so far with my boy. He's very calm. Apart from when puberty hit him, where I experienced the other side of
Oh, he's
autism.
16, yeah.
He's 16 now. So otherwise, he usually, when I go anywhere, he will just sit in his own corner. When he
Okay.
was younger, he used to like things that have like wheels. If we go into any house, he spots a washing machine, he will just go and sit in front of that washing machine as it's going, round and round.
He's
He can
staring
be
at
there
it.
for hours, So what I used to do is when we go anywhere, the first thing I do is I show him the toilet. Since he wasn't verbal, if he wants to go to the toilet, I don't know what to do. And he was using nappies up to maybe age 8 or 9 before we were lucky enough to get him to stop. So when it comes to those behaviors, now that he's 16 and he's gone through puberty, it's different. So if I take him somewhere, I always make sure I have my eyes. So it's like my brain is always working overtime.
That's
Because I
right.
might be invested in a conversation with you, but trust me, it's 50% of my attention is on you. 50% is, checking what Angelo is up to, what he's doing. Like recently, we came back from Ireland about 2-3 weeks ago. We went for my niece's traditional marriage. And while we were there, I couldn't even enjoy myself because the siblings kept coming to report to me. He's been disturbing one little girl, and I went there. The girl should be around about his age, and possibly he might be interested in her because he took my sister's flowers and he went and gave it to this little girl,
Yeah, he
And
has
at
emotions
a
too.
certain point, I tried to try to distract him. He wouldn't even listen to me. At a certain point, I just said, you know what, I'm tired. I said, everybody follow me to the car, let's go. That's how I left the occasion in the middle of everything. And I just went home and, put them all on bed, went to bed, and I slept.
You slept. So you're
Yeah,
lucky. It
because
seems like he doesn't have too much of a tantrum. Leonard, how do you handle that? You have two kids that you have to deal with when it comes to behaviors. How do you handle that?
So I'm always, if you go somewhere, everybody will notice that I'm always on the run, because Liam is Ludwig, which is the first boy, is very agile and he's strong. So he will run around and jump, and especially want to get out of the crowd. He'll go into the bush, descend down the valley. He doesn't care. He's not afraid because he doesn't have the awareness for danger. So he doesn't know if he might run into a bear or something. No, he just keeps going. And when he sees you chasing him, he will think it's a play, right? He's interested. Okay, you think you can run? Follow me. And because he can run really fast and stuff, so I have to follow him. And then Liam is so attached to me, right? The second one. So
the second one,
when I'm chasing his brother, he's running behind me as well. And then now the little boy, now they're three, right? And Lyric will be crying and it seems like everybody is running away from me. So if we are somewhere, maybe if it's a 2-level house, maybe go to the basement where it's a little quiet. Maybe he can stay
and
there.
more confined.
And another thing, I'll give him my phone, even though we wanted to restrict screen time, because he's very smart with phones. If you give him your phone or a tablet, he can stay on it. But the environment needs to be quiet, because whatever he's doing on YouTube, he needs to be listening, because my son loves music. He needs to hear. So if he has a phone or maybe on YouTube and he cannot hear what he's playing because people are talking and shouting or they're playing loud music, he will try to get out of that environment.
That area, okay.
Yeah, he will. I don't know how he does it, but if there is a little hole somewhere, maybe a chimney, he will figure it out. Where he goes somewhere and everywhere is enclosed, the slightest space, he will disappear. Just like that. We'll go somewhere, he will be the first person to figure out where there is an office, where there is a toilet. Because he can just go hid himself in the office or a big closet and be quiet and be playing on his phone. And then everybody will be looking for a missing child. So it's very challenging, but at the end of the day, you have to take them out.
That's right.
So today is Saturday, it's weekend.
I like that.
You guys need to go somewhere, because you can't leave them at home. It's not helping in their social skills. They have to get used to being around people. They have to get used to being around noisy environments. And that is one of the things you observe a lot of African parents who leave their special needs kids at home. Because they don't want to deal with that tantrums and embarrassments in the public. I'll be changing my son anywhere, anytime, in the car, in the backyard. I don't care. I'll carry my bag, diapers there, stuff, because you don't want to go through that, right? And somebody will be looking at you. I'm like, this guy, why don't you leave these boys at home? Looking at a grown guy all dressed up, looking fly, and maybe changing a boy, changing his diapers and stuff like that. But it's part of being a parent with an autistic child or a special needs child. You have to do that. I cannot leave them at home because I don't want to go somewhere and have fun, and now I have to take them with me, because that is part of their development.
That is part of their development.
And now Liam is tolerating noise. He can be somewhere kids are shouting.
I was going to say, how does that help? Bringing them out and letting them be in that space where they're not comfortable.
Exactly. So that is what you have to go through.
Exactly. I like that. I want to say thank you to all those who are really contributing online on Facebook. John Etano, you're in Cameroon. You say in Africa, we don't understand certain human challenges. That's so true. And a lot of courage, brother, to you. Honorine says, thank you for doing this. African people need to be educated about kids with special needs. If you are just joining, I did talk about this earlier. This is from a website by Denise Jualis. She is a nonverbal autistic girl, and she designs these cups and she's making money online. Beautiful. So let's talk about the exceptional skills that your children have. Autistic children, most of them have certain exceptional skills. There's a guy I follow on Facebook. He can draw anything. He's nonverbal. You can tell him draw an ant on a mountain. it will come to life. So have you noticed any special, exceptional skills that your kids have, Leonard?
Yes, of course. Like I said, Ludwig started manipulating the phone as young as maybe 9 months old, 1 year. He can manipulate whatever you hide the YouTube app, he can figure it out really easily. And he loves iPhones, maybe because we have iPhones. If he goes somewhere, he's craving for a phone, a tablet. If you give him something that is maybe another manufacturer, he would turn it on the back, just looking at, I don't know if he's reading the logo or something, he would just give it back to you without talking,
Wow.
like I don't want this. He only
Yeah.
wants iPhone or iPad. And immediately you see the way his fingers are playing, you think he's an older guy. I remember when he was 2, I took him to a friend's house. They were doing a birthday party. So he took a girl's phone. What he did with the phone, the girl was looking at me like, I feel like the can go chat me. Like the way he manipulated the phone at that early age.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe because I listen to a lot of Congolese music. At one time I had to send his ABA therapist a playlist of what he likes. Because using that PECS book, the PECS book that they use images to communicate something you don't want to say next, these therapists will tell me that if they're playing maybe some kind of music, kids music, he doesn't want it, he will go grab that thing and go and give it to the therapist and say next, because he only wants to listen to country music. That's what he likes. And like I said, he's very athletic. As young as age 3, he will jump on certain heights. You're scared that this guy, you can break your leg, but he will just jump and run. The tippy toeing is helping him. He can run fast and
That's
stuff
right.
like that. The trampoline, if you take him somewhere with a trampoline, you think he's gonna fly above the roof, just jump. And that's his happiest moment, when he's jumping, playing, running around. He needs space to run. So I'm seeing an athlete in him.
Yes.
So actually he is going to be an athlete, that's no doubt.
Yes.
He's very energetic. Like, he has a lot of hair. Cutting his hair is a problem. Braiding it is a problem. So sometimes to cut his hair, you need about 3 grown men to hold him down. I'm talking about a 3-year-old boy, 4-year-old. Yeah,
Wow.
because if he hits you, you'll probably go to emergency. Like, he is strong.
He's
He has
strong.
big
An athlete
bones.
right there.
Yes, he is very, very strong and powerful. So you need to grip him, like full restraint, so they can cut his hair. And that is one of the challenges, taking him to a barber shop. It's a whole big deal, and so many barbers will not accept, dealing with that. So I'd rather just do the hair, maybe braid it or plait it. I'll pay one girl to come and do the hair, and I can have one of my friends or my brothers come, and we hold him down, and then a little while we'll give him breathing space, eat some chips, play with the phone, and then we hold him again so they can do his hair. If not, the hair just keep growing, getting coarse and looking crazy. And for Liam now, he's my engineer.
Wow.
Liam can build anything with anything. He will come, if there are no toys, he will look for shoes. Before you know, he has mounted shoes and built something matching shapes, colors. You take him to a supermarket, he will stay on how you call it, a cart, the shopping cart. He goes underneath and be figuring out the tires, the way they're constructed. Anything that has a tire, he's very much interested. And when you buy, like we started buying toys, things that you need to assemble together.
Correct. So he can
just give him the box. He will say, Daddy, open. As long as you open the box, just leave it with him. Before you come, I don't know if he reads the manual or whatever, he already figured it out. He would just build whatever.
That's a genius right there.
We bought the whole box of the one that has a train station, trains going around the rails.
Yes, I know that.
Yes, he can
difficult to build, and he just do it.
Less than no time. You don't need to show him anything. Just give him the box. Before you come, he will build it.
That is exceptional.
I mean, he will look at the blender. He open a blender from Amazon. Before the moms figure out this part goes here, goes here. You see the way he's just picking it and sticking them together. You think he's working for the company that makes the blender. So that's awesome. Him. Puzzles expert. He goes to McDonald's to get Happy Meal, not to eat, because he doesn't eat chicken nuggets. He doesn't eat any of that. His younger brother will eat them, because in the Happy Meal there is a small
they have those toys,
always come with a puzzle. That's what he wants. When he opens the Happy Meal box, he's looking for that little box to put the puzzle together. And it's two sides. He will put this side together and then dismantle it, turn it around. I didn't even know that when you turn it around, maybe you can put together a goat, and when you turn it around, it's gonna be maybe a snake parts to put them together. Yeah, I didn't know. He showed me that.
You're
You know,
kidding.
there's so many things in the house. He will show you, like if you do this, like he knows there was a tablet that because his brother hits it, it no longer turns on the power button. But this guy figured out if you plug the charger on the wall and you insert on the tablet, it's gonna turn on, and then you can start playing with it. So I always see him at that corner in the kitchen, but my cousin told me it's because he figured out if you take the power cord and you plug it on the tablet, it's going to turn on. But without that cord, it won't work. So that's where he's there. And if he has like your phone or tablet, he's not looking for CoComelon. He's not looking for any of that
Nah.
display stuff. He's looking for some kind of a car assembly. I don't know how he finds these things on YouTube where
Yes.
their trucks have, maybe offload excavation, this kind of videos. That's what he likes to watch. That's what,
Beautiful.
and then he will be so happy. And he taught me how to rewind and forward because he has certain pieces that he wants to capture. He will just
I
put
like
his hand on
that.
the thing and pull it all the way to the level where he wants it. And so they have special skills.
They
This
do.
one, everybody already know Liam's gonna be an engineer, on-some engineer, very smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like
And
that.
his elder brother is an athlete. That one is gonna be maybe LeBron James or
Yeah.
Michael Phelps or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing them develop to, becoming an athlete or an engineer. Let me read what Adeline says online. She says, I'm a provider with the IDD clinic managing their medication, and I am so passionate about my clients. Some of these kids go through a lot, and the parents go through all that emotional challenges with them. I'm so grateful for these parents speaking out and enlightening our community. Thank you for all your comments. Please keep them coming and also send questions if you need to. This is Talk to Me Africa. Any topic we handle here, we give it an African touch. Back to you, Giselle. What exceptional skills have you noticed with your son, Angelo?
For Angelo, it's been very difficult because at home, since he's so quiet, he likes to be on his own. I mean, there was one time I went for his, every term we have a meeting with the school, to see whatever targets we set the previous term, if he's achieved it or not. And silly me, I can be very silly sometimes. I asked the teacher, I say, what do you people even learn in this your school to be? And the teacher was like, eh? I say, yeah. I say, because as far as I'm concerned, Angelo comes to school, he eats, he comes back home, and then
That's
he eats,
right.
and then he goes to bed. Because otherwise, I don't know what he's learning. So the teacher was like, he does learn, and she took me through some of the stuff, he does. And I was surprised. I was told that he's very into cooking. Probably he picked that skill from me. Yeah, she told me that he's into cooking. And I was like, Angelo, I have never seen him, at home. Maybe also it's because of the fact that I know because of his needs. I'm always careful. I don't want him in the kitchen around me and things like that. But I was pleasantly surprised. And then I was told that he's very good with dancing. Every style, dancing style, as soon as you show it to him, a couple of moves, he has picked up.
Giselle was my classmate at University of Boya. Giselle, you could dance. When they say when it came to staging, if Giselle wasn't staging Defao on Dombolo, why am I not surprised that your son is a good dancer? The cooking thing I can tell, but the dance I can say, yeah, I can attest to that.
His younger siblings, for the life of me, like we went to Cameroon, we're doing my dad's memorial. So my mom said that she needs to dance Bensiki with all the kids. And it was like, you have to teach them. The others were jumping on their leg, they're doing their Oyibo kind of dance. No coordination, no reading, nothing. Angelo, as soon as I showed them, and I was the one teaching them, he picked it up like yesterday. He picked it up. He has they have like a club or something in school, which he goes to that club, and they do dancing, they do acting. And there was one time they performed at the Royal London Theatre of Arts or something like that in Central London. I went there to encourage him, and it was fun. It was a fun night. Yeah.
Impressive. Now let's delve into some cultural taboos. When it comes to raising kids with special needs in an African community, it's like, what's wrong with that one? Like Leonard said, people look at you changing your grown-up kids' diapers are like, what's wrong with you? So do you think that if you were in Africa, do you think your kids would have been treated differently because of their special needs situation? Starting with you, Giselle, since you're here already.
Of course. I mean, I was
Hmm.
smiling when you said that because
It's a taboo to even have a special needs
yeah,
kid in some African communities
if
or
we were in
countries.
Cameroon, I know a lot of people will be calling me Mami Fu,
Mami Fu.
if you in Imele Fu, you know,
Mhm.
because even when we were growing up, I mean, you know, I'm ashamed to say it, but we had children in the class where they used to say, "Oh, this speaking Imele Fu" and stuff. But on hindsight, when I think about it, this child had one level of additional needs or the other, which went, you know, undiagnosed. I've been to a party before, and there's this child, just by like what Leonard said, just by observing the child, I could tell that this child has autism. You know, the child wee, and then he was trying to drink the wee on the floor, and I was observing him. And then while other kids were running around, hey, you know, calling their parents to come and see, mine was instead laughing. And then when one or two people tried to speak to him, I was trying to tell them, you know, he has autism. My cousin was there kicking my legs under the table. Don't say it, don't say it. I said, why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I will
You're
never
helping
forget.
the parent. Yeah.
Yeah, it was his godmother who changed my mentality completely. When shortly after his diagnosis, she invited me to come over. And I told her, I said, look, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to come. She said, but why? Bring the kids. I said, no. I said, you know, because of this boy. Now, if I come, he will go and stay in front of your washing machine. Everybody will start looking at me. She said, Giselle, I can't believe that you say that. That what is so because of this, you're going to stay at home for the rest of your life. Think about it. You know, every child is a gift from God.
Absolutely.
Every child is a gift from God. Every child is not the same. If you want to continue hiding behind the fact that, oh, my child is different because society says your child is different, then you just continue wallowing in your own, you know, misery all the time. And that gave me the courage. And up to this point, I've never looked back. If I go anywhere, I meet people. If you look at him physically, you can never tell until you speak to him and probably he doesn't respond, or he responds in his very small voice that you don't understand what he's saying. Then I'll turn around to you and tell you, no, this boy is autistic. I almost got into a fight with a neighbor the other day because he had a full-blown meltdown in the middle of the road. And come and see, he's now taller than me, and he's about 6'4". You know, he's taller than me. I'm trying to get him to come back into the house. He's refusing, and he's getting to the point where I felt like it was going to become physical. Then I'm trying to find out from the siblings what happened. They said because he said hello to a neighbor's cat, the neighbor came and scolded him. He went into full-blown meltdown. My sister Chris, I forget I know in Africa. I don't say I don't tie about my waist. I just match for that door, boom, boom, and knock for the door, knock, knock. As the person open, everyone care. I just start the shout. I see when the police go come for me, police come. You know, before this guy was trying to apologize that he's not the one, I said, look at him, mark his face, and tell everybody in this your building, whenever you see him, if he says hello to your cat, just don't say anything. It wasn't easy, but it's very sad in our community because I've heard stories even in this.
Wait, was this person an African person?
No, it wasn't an African
Okay,
person.
okay.
I've heard stories of people in our community where, you know, when you come to their houses here in the UK, they will hide their child in the room. You won't even know that they have a child with special needs. They are ashamed of showing the child to the public. And the question I keep asking myself is, why I get for shame my pikin?
Why?
Why? You know, but it's because we've come from this culture where things like this is like a taboo. It's like when you mention it, you know, something is not right with you, something is wrong with you. And what they fail to understand is, like I said earlier on at the beginning, that there's a lot of support out there, but we don't access this support because we are just cocooned in our own small environment. You are ashamed to say that my child is this. In fact, you don't even want to accept it. Let me tell you, a lot of African parents, they are in the child protection system in the UK. There's a lot of African parents with children with special needs. They're in the child support and child protection system in the UK because of denial. Because when you're working with these professionals, the more you deny that this child is not like this, or my child is going to do this, the more the professional network is seeing you as harmful to that child. And before you realize it, your child is on a child protection plan because you are not listening to professionals.
Because they think that you might not give them the care that they need as a special needs child.
Yeah, because for example, like I've come across parents who say things like, oh, I don't believe that my child, my child cannot talk. I will just keep praying. When I go to my pastor, we'll pray and he will be fine. Nobody has said you shouldn't pray. I'm also a Christian. But I bet you, when you deal with these Oyibo people, when you make those kind of statements to them, you are causing harm to the child.
Absolutely.
And a lot of our African parents, they don't know that.
Absolutely. Science has greatly improved that we should follow. I'm going to go to Leonard to talk about your thought. If you were in Africa, your kids, do you think would have different treatment? I think so, because you already began talking about how you took them to Cameroon and whatever happened. So can you expatiate on that?
First of all, like Giselle she already mentioned that I think she's on the soft side. But anybody that's really close to me know that I'm really hard on superstition and religion. I don't want to hear about it because that is a mentality we grew up with. People are taking a medical condition to go. People are seeking a spiritual solution to a medical condition.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's the mentality. If it is not one Gambian man, it's one pastor.
Or it's your grandmother.
People are not, they are blaming the ancestors or the grandmother in the village, whatever, or one jealous neighbor, some kind of mentality. So, I mean, I also feel guilty. I used to tell people I have a classmate. If I call his name, most of the people who went to school, we went to school together in St. Joseph Catholic School, Muteng, and they will know him. By the time I left university, this guy was still in primary school. We used to laugh at him, his dog, but he was always in Sunday school trying to help out other kids because he knows he's grown. But academically, he cannot outperform class 1. So we just think they call those names a fulefu, whatever, it's dull, slow. I mean,
Mumu and all those derogatory terms.
Yeah. So I thank God for the exposure that the Western world has given me. Because before I even had my child, so many superstitious things are already uninstalled. I unlearned them when I came here. Because you realize every situation is being carefully researched and analyzed, and then solutions, right? Sometimes I'll record random videos on the streets in DC. I'm posting my class forum and I ask people, that classmate of ours that had an issue, we're talking about one of his uncle. These people that you see on the street in DC, these junkies, which uncle of theirs
is responsible?
We have to know their conditions. Mental health is real.
Mental health is real. I like that. Mental health is real.
Intellectual disability, it's real. It has nothing to do with superstition or religion. The solution will not come from superstition or religion. The solution will come from research, applied methodologies that have been tested, that is working. And that is why 100%, I'll tell you guys, I have lost opportunities. I have business that I've started, but I cannot. I used to be a style fashion blogger when my son was diagnosed. I had to bring down the website because I will not have time to do all that research and be writing about blogs for people to be hailing me on social media. I have to spend that time in doing something else. I've had opportunities where I tell the employers that I'm not gonna be able to make one day on site at your job that you want to pay me $170,000. I'm sorry.
That's right, because I have my kid.
Yeah, because I have to be available for my kids. They go to school in 2 opposite directions. Sometimes you get calls for both of them on the same day. This guy has had a meltdown in school. You need to pick him up. This other guy has not stooled his money and he's having temperature. You have to pick him up. Which direction would you go?
That's a good
And
question.
if what will tight if you're working in downtown DC?
The
Are you
traffic.
going to evaporate at pier? So
Mm.
no, I don't want to hear God will protect or God will provide.
Mm.
Don't tell me that. Because there is a solution. Are you willing
Which
to
God
take
has
it?
given you the knowledge to find out the
To find
solution.
out, yes. Are you willing to take it? Yes. And the solution is me working from home, 15 minutes away from both schools. That is the solution. I have to be available. I don't have to think God will provide or God will protect them and then me being somewhere. Because I try to make it in such a way, women are emotional, right?
Mm.
My wife, a lot of times if she gets these calls or she goes through these discussions or meltdown situations, she just start crying, right? She gets emotional, you know. But me, I'm the man. I'm looking at the solution. What do I do now? I've been in the middle of presentations. I get calls. I'm like, hey, I have a heart stop. I need to be somewhere. I have an emergency for my son. So these are the things that I have learned, and this is the mindset that I have. In Cameroon, we get these discussions all the time because people always ask that question, why are there so many autistic kids in America and not in Cameroon? But I tell people, I don't think that's the issue. I think a lot of situations go undiagnosed. And for the highly functional kids that are on the spectrum, they can easily come out of it in Cameroon due to the societal setting, the communal life, the fact that they are playing, they can easily outgrow it, right? For example, my grandmother had to open up and tell us that I started talking at 5+.
Mm.
How do we know I wasn't on the spectrum?
That's a good question.
Did we have the structure to diagnose it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, my grandmother told my wife I was only eating burning plantains and red oil when I was small. Until about a certain age,
Food
right?
sensitivity.
Up till today, I don't drink Gary with sugar. I'm sorry. It needs to be sour for me to like it, right? I don't like anything sweet. I'm out of it. I have to eat like semi-ripe mango, semi-ripe plantain. I don't eat stuff like that. It had to be semi-ripe. If it is fully ripe, I'm out. I don't like it. That's me. That's my taste, right? Did we analyze all these things when I was
No,
little?
we did not. Yeah.
It went undiagnosed, and a lot of situations, and America is telling us that autism, the only cause for it is genes, it's genetics. If it's not coming from the father, it's from the mother. Let's go back and trace, right? Have we ever conducted this research in Cameroon?
We don't have records of our
Or in
own, so we
Africa?
don't
Do we
think
have
that.
these medical records to go and analyze? No, we don't. Boys are slow. That's it. Boys are slow. Girls are fast. Grandmother in the village, this ancestor, this pastor, that's it. You go use anointing oil and holy water.
Mm.
So I tell people, based on my experience, because my second son, Liam, I know if he was in Cameroon, would have been way more advanced because this restraint doesn't exist.
It's
Because
not
at
there.
home,
That's true.
only his brother and
Yeah.
us, right? If I'm working, the mom is working. He's not talking to anybody. He's just stacking his toys and building his railway. That's it. Now he's starting to talk because his younger brother is a talkative and is pushing him to talk. So these situations can go way, way, way undiagnosed in Cameroon. You will not even notice that this child has some little, little signs of being on the spectrum, ADHD, those other things, receptive language, social skills. But we know that we have that friend that doesn't like talking to people.
Yeah.
That wants to be by themselves. We have this friend that you think maybe you have an issue with because you're talking to him and he looks absent-minded or daydreaming. He doesn't want to respond. He's never been evaluated, right? They've never been evaluated. They've never been diagnosed. They've never gone through the process. I had to go through the normal screening, and the comprehensive screening is when completing those surveys online take time. You will answer 80 questions about the same topic. And when these experts sit and analyze the result, they'll tell you this percent is this percent is this. Why? Because they have conducted research before coming out with these screening questions and things, the observations that they have to do for an entire day. When they told me they have to observe my son for 3 days, I'm like, why? Yeah, because different people, neurologists comes and go, occupational therapist comes and go, a speech pathologist comes and go, a dietitian or diet therapist or whatever comes and go. Try this boy with little things that kids love to eat. But why is this guy not jumping on these things?
Right.
If he does this, it's probably on this level, and then they take it from there. They do a further analysis. That is the difference. That is the benefit of being in the Western world. But the thing is, do we have the time, the dedication, and the patience to go through this?
You have to. You have to make it. It's your child.
Exactly.
You have to make the time.
I encourage a lot of people, listen to what if the doctor says, hey, this child is not meeting this milestone. Because in Cameroon, a doctor is a doctor, right?
Yeah.
They operate,
yeah,
they treat, they diagnose, they do everything. The doctor Malmiri is
the doctor for everything.
The doctor at General Hospital. But here, when you go see a doctor makes a referral. Go see a neurosurgeon. At one time, they had to scan Liam's head because they said his head had outgrown kids of his age. They had to go scan. I had to take him to Children's in DC so they can scan his head and look through his brain to make sure nothing is growing inside. At one time, they will tell you have to go see a specialist, speech pathology. You have to do ear tests, or is it ophthalmologists or whatever they call them. I've seen all these people. They have to do ear tests. There are some people that they have to analyze his tongue, look at his throat to make sure there's no blockage anywhere where words cannot come out. Do we have these things in Cameroon?
We don't. We do not.
We don't. And how can you say kids in Africa, the autism is an American thing? So trust me, if we were in Cameroon, I don't think Ludwig's situation would have been worse. I know he will end up being one they call in the Quartier Efulefu, or will be jumping from one manoko to another. We'll be drinking anointing oil and bathing with holy water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Somebody says you are hitting the right point, sir. In reality, I have come to believe that these children are just neurodivergent, not that there is something wrong with them. Their brains are just wired differently. Question from Dr. Gustav on Zoom. He says, as a parent also raising a child with special needs, I'm curious to know if you guys have observed any form of deficits in socioeconomic reciprocity with your kids, and how do you manage it? She's already given an answer. She says, hi, doctor, my child's socio-emotional deficits are there, and what I do is to relate with him at his level. How do you do it? Do you relate with your kids at their level too?
Yeah, of course. There are times that I have to sleep in their room. Yeah, sometimes I'm working, I bring them to the basement and then I put them in the man cave. I have a little man cave close to my office. And so you have to, because at the end of the day, you have to be the best friend. Going somewhere, you already know them that they're socially lacking. They're not going to socialize with other kids like that. If Liam comes, he's looking for his dad or his mom. If he needs something, he's looking for his dad or his mom and taking you and then go pointing to what he wants. So you have to interact with them at all levels. You have to interact with them. Sometimes you have to educate even the therapist. That's why we get these PTA meetings, right? In Cameroon, we used to know PTA meetings.
When you are in trouble, that's why you get PTA meetings.
Yeah, or you're owing school fees.
Or you're owing school fees. It wasn't for your development.
Yeah, but my PTA meetings is to discuss progress. And they'll ask me, he did this while he was in the clinic. We observed this at home. Have you observed this at home? I'll say yes or no. And then I'll tell them my perspective from home. They'll say, okay. Like they had to send me a video one time. I didn't know Ludwig knows all the animals, like wild animals. Like they had to go through the book. They say, show me this. He will go to the page and say, this is a rhino. I'm like, this guy that doesn't talk, he knows a rhino. Yeah, he knows a rhino. So now when he comes home, we have to buy whatever they do in school. I'm ordering the same book. Give me the name of the book. Whatever it is, I'm ordering from Amazon Prime. We go through the same thing. There's a rhino, a zebra. Just like you say, if he needs milk, you have to prompt him like milk. But since he's still non-verbal, but he can communicate with the textbook. He can take out the sticker that is a milk and come upstairs or come to the basement and give it to me that he wants
Right.
more. So I have to go back upstairs and go to the fridge and get milk for him. If he wants pizza, he will take it and go upstairs, go meet the mom there. He wants pizza. The mom will go grab pizza from the oven and give it to
Wow.
him. So
Yeah.
because how did we know this? Because we go through the PTA and the therapists and the clinic. Because the therapist is doing way much better for this development than the school. At one point, I had to face the school system. I'm like, I want to pull my son out of school and put him on therapy full time. But like, no, any kid 5 years and above by law must be in school.
That's right.
If out of that, I would have pulled Ludwig out of school long time ago and let him go to focus on the ABA therapy full time, because the ABA therapists are trained, you know, to get this kids maybe out of the spectrum or improve their development. So the interaction, or they will sit with the kids on the floor, engage them in an activity, just like that. Behaviors go through. So at the same time, they are talking to them. So they're doing some kind of speech at the same time. They're doing behaviors, and then they're doing the intellectual learning, right? Like how to hold a pen, do this, and draw this and write that. A toy, how to build a puzzle. The interaction is so on so many different spheres that I think it outweighs school, because school is like drawing, painting, one and the same thing. He was able to paint this every day because you have to check their books, what they're learning, and then they just eat. But I think the benefit for school is that social skills, because they have to be in class with other kids.
With other kids, yeah.
And I also recently enrolled him in swimming through school. So he does swimming like once a week.
How's he doing?
Yeah, he loves water. You can tell in the house, he's caused leakage in my house like twice. Just open the bathtub and be playing with the water and then spill it everywhere.
I love that.
Before you know, you sit on the kitchen and you see water dripping from upstairs.
Yeah, I love that, because some people might say, oh, this child has special needs, I can't put them in swimming because they might drown, they don't know how to talk or something. Do not limit your child's, experience in life just because they have a special need. I want to say thank you to all those who are commenting online so eloquently. Honorine, Bertrand, Aqua, Nixon, I see all of you. Thank you so much. The courage, the encouragement to you, Leonard and Giselle is just amazing. When I was preparing for this show today, I checked I came across a website called it's called the Spectrum News. It's an Ethiopian website. It says that why autism remains hidden in Africa. A few reasons they put out is that many African children with autism are hidden away at home. Sometimes they're even tied up. Always they go undiagnosed. And there's a story on that site about a girl who was 8 years old, and her parents still said, no, they don't see anything wrong with her, until she was 18, was unable to take care of herself as a woman, that she got in contact, or her parents got in contact with this website, the Spectrum News, that she got help. The delay in diagnosis is really causing havoc to many of our kids in Africa who could be developed in whatever skills they have early enough for them to excel. And then one thing that got me really thinking is that it said there are very few clinicians who have the skills or experience to identify the condition. Like you said, a doctor is a doctor. They might not be a specialist, but they are the doctor. So you see a general practitioner and you have a situation that needs, an expert, it goes undiagnosed because they're not a specialist. So Africa, we need to stand up to an extent. We need to help each other. Giselle and Leonard are really helping to educate us here today. One thing I want to talk about is the future of your children. That's the last topic before we end. Remember, I had charged both of you to bring an African proverb, because on Talk to Me Africa, I love African proverbs. We're going to share an African proverb that you have today on the show. But before we go to African proverb, let's talk about the future of your children. When you look at your children, you've talked about Ludwig, athlete. You talk about Liam, an engineer, but their future as far as being independent. What worries you at night when you think about the future of your special needs child?
It's the same question I always ask the therapists. They're like, when is this? Like, everybody already know. The day Ludwig is going to call me daddy. Maybe, I don't know. Maryland will erupt.
Mm.
Yeah, you know, that anxiety is there because he's never said it before, right? So I don't even know his voice. And he's 6 years old. You're just looking at me and, you know, making some creaky sounds, and that's it. Not talking yet. So there's always that worry, like, when is he ever gonna say daddy? Like, when is he ever going to be able to express himself? Like, daddy, when you were out, when you took me to this place, somebody did this, somebody said this to me. You know, that worry, like, he cannot talk. He cannot express himself. But sometimes a meltdown, you feel like something is wrong. Somebody has done something.
Mm-hmm.
When you notice, especially like I told you the experience that I took them to Cameroon, right? That's one of them. But you know, he cannot talk. So there's always that worry to stand for himself, you know, to fight for himself. You need a voice. So how far can I go being there for him? At what age? You know, so that worry is always there. You know, it's always striking every time, every day, you know, dropping him at a school bus, and when he comes back home, he's still looking at you, still doing the same thing. But I'm hopeful. That's why like I said, TikTok is now my best friend. When I feel close from work and eat, take a shower, I'll go to TikTok and look for a few tips. Every new tip out there that people are saying, trying this, trying that. They're talking about heavy metals in their system, giving them a therapeutic bath, some kind of whatever, whatever. My wife is into that. But still, for me, that's placebo, right? I still see it as
It's placebo.
superstition because a superstition, how some kind of ingredients in their bath is gonna help somebody brain development.
Neurologically.
Because I'm analytical, sorry, I'm that person. I ask a lot of questions. Yeah, I ask a lot of questions because I go with facts. I go with facts and I research, like, she will tell me, oh, they say if you do this in their bath, if you put this certain sound in YouTube, if they go to bed listening to certain sound, it helps their brain. I question it. I question everything. So I'm worried about, for Liam, I can see the progress. Ludwig, I'm seeing little progress here and there, but like his choice of food increased from just being bare fufu without soup to maybe adding pizza, few chips. Sometimes he will grab a chicken now and then, even ribs, and sometimes he will not just eat. But now tell him pull your pants up, you know, pull his pants up, wear your shoes. Now he can wear his shoes. So I'm seeing a little progress as he's going to therapy every day. You know, I'm still looking for speech therapy for weekend sessions. Everybody that's watching in Maryland, if you are into
Yes.
OT and speech, and you know a location that have opening for weekends and they accept senior insurance, let me know. You know, I'm willing, or maybe out of pocket, just let me know to enroll him. So we are looking for these resources because I don't just want to sit and be worried of his future. I want to put the pieces in place, all right? We want to put the structure to make sure that at
Before you let him
least,
go and take his future into his hands.
exactly, to make sure that maybe by the time he turns 7, he can say daddy. I don't just want to sit and say, when is he going to say daddy? I'm trying to do something. Looking forward to that.
Wow. You know, as you talk about just wanting to hear your kids say daddy, it makes me think about parents who have full-grown kids who are having other issues and they think they have the worst. But you are asking for the word daddy from your child. Remain hopeful. And Talk to Me Africa, please. If you have any topic to talk about, bring it here. We shall talk and give it that African touch. Giselle, what makes you worry at night when you think about the future of your son, Angelo? He's 16. What
Yeah,
makes you not sleep?
I mean, I think about all the things that Leonard has mentioned. And, initially it was like my future goal is just for this boy to be able to write his name, just his first name, Angelo. And thank God we've achieved that. Now, my next target, which is for him to be able to write his surname, we are still struggling with that. But then because he's 16 now, he's hit puberty, and I've seen how puberty has affected him. And it's also affected me. It's also affected his siblings because I have 4 and he's the first. Like one of the people commented before about, the fear of having more children. I've got 4. Angelo is the first. And his brother, who is the third, was also diagnosed with ADHD. I think it was last year, January of last year. So it's like I have these 2 children with 2 different conditions. You have to approach it in 2 different angles, you know. Then I keep thinking, okay, he's 16 now. Does it mean he's going to stay with me for the rest of his life? Then when I think about what happened last year, where my child has never been violent, but because of the emotional dysregulation that he was experiencing because of puberty, he punched me twice last year. It was shocking. I went through the whole process of, you know, grief and loss again, because I went back into depression before I later on accepted that, okay, you know what, this is beyond my means. I cannot do anything about it. So how do I support this boy? And I remember the second time it happened last year, I wasn't even angry. You know, it's like by the time I woke up in the morning, this thing happened at night, you know, just because I told him no, you know, he just flared up. By the time I woke up in the morning, I even forgot that something like that happened. The only thing that got me to remember was I kept feeling one kind of pain. And I was touching and wondering, why is my head painful on this? Then I remember that, oh, Angelo punched me last night. And there was like a little knot. If anything, the only thing I was upset about was the fact that there was a knot on my head that was paining me.
Right.
And I keep asking myself now, okay, with the situation like that, I'm getting older. He's the first. I've got other younger children. I need, as the adult in the house, I need to make sure that the environment is as safe as possible for all my kids. So would I continue undergoing all this while trying to support him and manage this within the family context and in the home? How do I protect the other children? Because the first time it happened, I bet you all my kids were scared. Because he punched me, the sister came and tried to hold him. He punched the junior sister. He's 15. They all ran out of the house. They were all scared. In the middle of winter, I'm telling you, my daughter ran out of the house bare feet. The baby who was 4 at the time, she wasn't even wearing shoes. I came out of the house with just a morning coat, bare feet, because I removed my shoes and gave it to my daughter. I had to take, you know, a key, went and steal my car and asked them to sit down while waiting for my friend to come, because he works in a home for adults with autism. So he told me, he said, anytime you face any problem, he's 15 minutes away. So I called him, I said, you need to come now. I said, don't bat. So I was standing outside, I couldn't even leave. I was standing in the cold, bare feet, scared that if I leave and he leaves the house, that's double trouble. So I keep all these thoughts, they keep going on through my mind, you know, like, okay, very soon he's going to, would it be best, or would it be in his best interest if he stays on his own? Then he will get to engage in other activities outside of us, and it will help in his development better. Am I doing him a disservice?
When you say on his own, you mean like in a home, like in a group home
like
setting?
in a home where he has the support. So for example, he might have like
24-hour support.
Going in,
Right.
So you know, those are the thoughts that keep going through my mind at the moment, because I ask myself, am I going to do him a disservice if I want him to stay at home? Because maybe I might be impeding in his further development if I'm insistent on the fact that he should be at home with me. Then and now as I said, but nobody can care for my child more than me. So all these thoughts, they keep going in and out, and it's not a nice place to be honest. I haven't worked with parents where I've actually supported a parent where she went and we found a placement for a 14-year-old. This woman broke down in tears. I joined her, and we cried together. So I can imagine, all those emotions going through, what's there, you're trying to look at the future, trying to gauge what's my child's future going to be like. So if I'm not there, who is going to look after him? Is the person going to provide the necessary care? Is the care going to be the same like the care coming from me, the mother? Okay, I know my son's needs to the point that if Angelo is sitting next to me and he's about to have a meltdown, I can tell you, just by looking at him, the way I see him start to behave, I can tell you this boy is about to have a meltdown. But not everybody is able to do that. So I found out that even there are situations where he's had a meltdown where if I was there, it wouldn't have escalated. Thank God his siblings, they are very versed with the fact that, their brother is autistic. Apart from the baby who is 5, she doesn't understand. The worst is the junior sister. Angela is older than her by about a year. She's 15. It's like she's his second mom.
Mm.
You know, when he comes to me and I tell him no, or he comes to me for whatever reason and he's not satisfied, he just goes straight to the sister. You know, sometimes you see him with the sister up and down the house. The sister will like, leave me alone. I've told you, go to mom, leave me alone. I'm not your mommy. I'm talking about that. She's next to me and she's laughing.
But it's true what you're saying, because again, this is a lifelong condition, right?
Yeah.
I not to downplay what Lena said in being hopeful, but it is a lifelong condition. If you're not there, what happens to your child? It is a question that I believe every parent that has a special need child asks. Specifically talking about Angelo, Leonard's kids are still very young. What do you think about dating? There's a show on Netflix. I watch it. It's called Dating on the Spectrum.
Mm.
This is a very beautiful model that whoever created this show brought. If you watch Dating on the Spectrum, it's all autistic adults, different ranges, you know, of spectrum diagnosis, and they date. It's a one-on-one thing. So you come here, they give you a piece of paper with 3 names, and so 3 people right there: Mary, Grace, Mabel. Score them on 1 to 10. If they get a point from you, they go on a date with the parents accompanying them. A couple on that show went to Africa because the girl wanted to go see real elephants. I think it's a way of giving your children a life beyond their condition. So what do you think about when you think about Angelo and a relationship?
I would say it now, if there's anyone listening out there and you know something like that in the UK, please get back to me.
Maybe this is your way to start it, Dating on the Spectrum in the UK.
I would love to see that. I mean, there is a particular girl in his school that for the past like 3 years, since he became a bit verbal, where at least I can understand. In fact, the first time I knew that Angelo could write his name Angelo was when I took him for a therapy session. And the therapist gave him a piece of paper and told him to write whatever he likes. And then he kept writing his name plus this girl's name. Then I was wondering, you know. And then the therapist is asking him, who is this? You know, he told the therapy. And then the therapy like, who is it to you? It's my girlfriend. So it's like everybody in the house knows this particular girl's name. Unfortunately, because of data protection, the school are not able to give me any more information about the girl. But all the teachers are aware that, you know, he keeps talking about this girl in my house. Even the sister who is 5 years old, she knows. If you ask her now, she'll tell you Angelo's girlfriend is called so and so.
You go to a PTA meeting and then try to meet the parents, because these children also need a social life beyond your household.
My dear, I'm very antisocial. You know, like Lena said, I'm so busy. I work, you know, full time. It's not easy. I work full time. I've let go of things because of, you know, my children. I've let go of stuff because of Angelo. Right now, I'm even contemplating if it comes down to it, I might need to stop my job completely, because he finishes school at 3:30, and so between 3:30 and 5, there's nobody who is going to be at home with him. And now it's stressing me because there was an incident that happened last week, Saturday, approximately 1 week ago. He ran out of the house. We had to call the police to look for him. So it frightens me, and I'm thinking, so between 3:30 and 5:30, 5 o'clock, is my employer going to accept every day that wherever I am, by that 3:30, I need to be in my house so that my child, when he comes back from school, I'm there? You know, so all those things are playing up in my head. And 2 days ago or so, he mentioned another girl's name. I can't even remember her name now. As soon as he spoke about her, you could see that he has because he was like, he didn't want to meet my eyes. He was shy.
They have those feelings, Giselle.
Yeah,
I think it's something to think about.
I just jumped. I said, I'm going to tell your sister. You know, as I was running downstairs to meet the sister, to, you know, to give her the hot gist. And then he was like running behind me. No, mom, please don't tell Giovanna. Don't tell Giovanna, no, mom. And so the sister was very interested. Mommy, what is it you want to tell me? I said, Angelo has a new girlfriend. So I was giving her all the gist and all the lowdown. And, you know, you could see he was very embarrassed and everything. I even said to myself, I said, I'm going to ask the teacher, you know, because he told me the class where she is. I said, I'm going to ask the teacher that he's mentioned this girl's name and said she's in this class. You know, things that are, you know, you can share with me. Can you share? I've even asked him, I said, can you invite your girlfriend? I'm happy to take you guys out for dinner, or she can come to the house, you know. But it's not been easy because all those parents and meetings, where parents come together, most often sometimes by the time they are holding those meetings, I'm out somewhere for work. So I don't really I go to the school on one-on-one meetings with the school teachers. And now that COVID has showed us that you can do things online, most of the time I even prefer to go for the online option. Yeah.
Somebody said on Zoom that I wonder if he remembered the punch the next day that he gave you. Did you see any signs of him remembering that something had happened, or after the fact, did he kind of have any remorse?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do get that.
That day he did, because about an hour later, he picked up his little suitcase. He was wearing just knickers, pants. He picked up with his knickers and innerwear, and then he said he's going. I said, where are you going? He said he's going to Abidjan. His uncle is in Abidjan. I've taken him to Abidjan the year before for holidays. So I tried to, I said, no, it's late, because it was like almost midnight. I said, it's late. Okay, bring the bag in, sleep over it. In the morning, we'll talk about it. He went back upstairs. After about half an hour, he came to me. He stood by the door. He was looking on the floor. He wouldn't look at me. So when I noticed that this guy has been staring at me for a while, I pretended as if I didn't see him. Then later on, I just said, Angelo, are you okay? He said, I'm sorry, Mom. For me to understand that he knows what he's done and what he's sorry for, I asked him, I said, what are you sorry for?
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry for punching you, and I'm sorry for trying to bite you. Because he was also trying to bite me. He said, I'm sorry for trying to bite you.
That is
good. So I now knew that, okay, he now has an understanding. And it's always very important, like what Lena said, to work in tandem with the school and all the professionals, because when incidents like this happen, I record it word for word verbatim. I started from the moment, he asked me whatever he asked me, whether I said no, how he reacted, up to the point where, because the first question they will always ask me, what was the trigger? They always want to know what was the trigger.
What triggered it? Yeah, that's what.
That's the best way to support him. So I wrote everything in a very detailed email, sent it to this. The next day he came from school. He came and met me. He said, Mom, I have something for us to read together. I said, what is it? He was the one telling me that my teacher gave me a paper. We need to read it. I said, what is the paper about? Because I wanted to see if he has an understanding. He said, never to hit Mom again. I said, all right, sit down. We took it. There was a social story. They made it very basic. They put all the pictures. I could point to the picture and he could tell me everything, just so that he can understand that, So I asked him, okay, so when you get angry, what do you need to do? He said, go to my room and have a timeout. That's what he told me.
Essentially, they do have those emotions. Lena, do you want to weigh in any dating options when it comes to kids with special needs? Yours are still very young, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
I think, and my boys are still really antisocial. Yeah, but Liam, he's a soft guy. Even when he was little, he's always loved to be carried by women. He has always preferred women. He will lay on your chest. Yeah, he likes to cuddle. Even now, I have some family friends that when they come home, he just want to walk up to you and want you to carry him, cuddle, and so he's that guy. Feel like he's gonna be a lover boy. But Ludwig, I don't know yet.
Yeah, it's good. I think as they grow up, as they develop, you're going to be seeing different situations. See, this has been so insightful. The comments online are so many. I can't even read all of them, but this guy says the biggest, Bertrand, the biggest cause of this is the inadequacy of the health and medical system. Our medical systems need to be restructured, especially the training of medical personnel. You did talk about that lack of specialty. A doctor is a doctor. They handle everything when you go see them. Before I take us to the African proverb of the day, do you guys want to add anything to the entire discussion to that? You want us to know about your struggles and, the love that you have raising special needs children?
I think I'm pushing for an advocacy for the Labor Department. I think employment laws and regulations have to be refined to have clauses that protect parents with special needs kids, because if we are all applying and interviewing for the same opportunities and my kid's situation like her kid's situation. She's just telling you that she just told you she's been unable to make it to PTA meetings because she has to be at work, correct? So they have to make laws around employment to accommodate parents with special needs. I think everybody identifies and sympathizes with special needs kids, but the parents go unnoticed, right? Their struggles go unnoticed. Like I said, she's also said it, I've lost employment opportunities, paying reasonable money, like plenty. I have one that I've only lasted 3 weeks, and based on my situation, they'll tell me, oh, we're sorry. We need somebody committed 40 hours a week. We'll have to let you go. So they have to revise these employment laws to make provisions for parents with special needs kids that they can work around the clock. Maybe if I'm unavailable between Ludwig leaves school at 1:30 and starts therapy at 2, right? So between that time, I have to be offline, and he gets out of therapy at 6 p.m. But sometimes I can get a call at 10 a.m. to pick him up. Both of them just went through orthodontist surgery. They had to remove all of Liam's teeth because he doesn't eat. The milk damaged his teeth. The doctors told me when he was 2 to remove them. I refused. I thought maybe teeth brushing and other things will help, but the teeth just kept decaying. And at some point they say it might affect his gum. And she said, if you don't want to do it now, I'll have to involve Child Protective Service. I had to give in, and they removed all his teeth. I think he just started growing new teeth. That was August of last year. And going through that, you have to drop him off before he eats anything at wherever they're doing the surgery in the morning, and pick him up at 10 in between. And a month later, Ludwig had to go through the same, but it was for some special teeth that was decaying. So they have all these different appointments and these things that go on. And if you look at the personal calendar Giselle will share with you, your personal calendar is already busy, and you have a work calendar, and you have to work, right? You need to make money to sustain them, to pay for this, pay for insurance, buy this and buy that. Now, how do you work when they need your time and the employer needs your time? I know people will say start a business, be independent, but still, even running a business, you have to be there to manage the business. You have to grow the business, especially at the initial stages, right? So it's very, very challenging. It's very, very challenging. So I think there should be some revision. I'm trying to see if I can put something together, and I'll send it to the Department of Labor. Like they have to start thinking, if we need to go out and march and protest, I'm willing to go that route, because they have to start making provisions and say, hey, if your special needs, we'll accommodate that. We'll let you work when you have time, because sometimes if they go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm free. I can work up till midnight, right? But they say they need you 9 to 5. They don't need you after 5. So I'm putting this out there. I spoke about it, I think, last weekend with some friends, and we were having an exercise here in the park. I told people we have to start. I think when it comes to advocacy, we Africans, we are taking the back seat. We are not pushing for a lot of reforms like other minority groups, especially in the West. So
I agree.
That is what I just think I think I want to contribute outside of the normal parenting and challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis.
That's a laudable initiative. I think that gets me thinking. It could be a spin-off from today's talk. Get somebody who is in the field of, the government, and get a social worker and have this put out there, in the form of a discussion, and you never know what could kickstart with that. So I like that. That's something very, very laudable to initiate. Giselle, anything you want to say before we head on to African proverb?
I mean, I know after sharing, especially some of the difficulties, this will discourage some parents, but don't be discouraged. It's like raising up, any normal child, because even with the children or the atypical child, they have their own moments when they hit puberty and all whatnot, where they do their own naughty things. You understand? So it's just about you understanding the needs of your child. Yes, it's double work, because you have to put in the extra work at the end of the day, your child doesn't have a voice, so you have to stand for your child. But I just want parents out there to know that you're not alone. You are not going through all this on your own. Don't hide yourself in and think, the world has come to an end. It hasn't. If you don't speak up, you will never know who is going to support you.
Mm.
You will never know what kind of support you can get, because like Leonard said earlier on, mental health is real. It is real. And we need to take care of our mental health. Somebody like me, I'm so old now where my body starts to,
He says I'm so old.
my body is starting to, take a toll and everything. So
Yeah, they say
I'm
after
very
40, everything
conscious.
aches. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm very conscious of things like that. But like he said to me, my child comes first. If I need to leave the job because of my child, in fact, I don't even blink. I don't even need to think twice. I just tell you, take the job away. I heard some things a few years back when I left my banking job. I was told, I think it was a dentist, we're just having a conversation. And then I told her, I stopped working. She said, oh, do you still work at the bank? I said, no, I stopped working at the bank. She said, why? I said, because I think it was at the period when Angelo was just diagnosed. I said, I need to focus on understanding my child's needs and how best to support him. And it was too much because I told my employer to, first of all, reduce my hours. They were taking their time, and then I just made up my mind. I said, I'm leaving. So by the time they were ready to reduce the hours, I wasn't even
You were
interested
gone.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just told them,
Your
I said,
child
no,
comes
I'm
first.
going. So she told me that there's something in the UK called disability by association. Never knew that. And she was telling me, if it hasn't been too long, you can actually take your employer to court for disability by association because, it's your child. So you have an association with this child and you're being discriminated because of this child, not
So
because
in a
of you.
way, you are
Yeah.
supporting that disability as
Yes.
another person, like extension of your child.
Yeah. So one of the first thing I did in my current role, when I went through the interview, they have this generic question. They will always ask you, oh, is there any adjustment that we need to be aware of or we need to make in the work if you're offered the position? The first thing I told them, I have a child who is autistic. He has many appointments. I need to take him to all his appointments. I will try as a worker also to try not to disrupt my day. I try to push his appointments towards the end of the working day. If it's not possible, like some of those specialist appointments, well, I just need you to know. And I was told it's fine. Second thing, I need to take all my holidays during school holidays. I've got 4 children. I cannot afford childcare for 4 kids when his own childcare alone is almost my salary. Are you ready to take me in under those circumstances? Yes. So now you cannot turn around and go back on your word and start telling me, oh, because employers like to say, oh, the nature of the service, it's not compatible. So by the time you start telling me about the nature of the service, I also start reminding you that such and such legislation said disability by association, and you are fully aware of my child's
How you
condition.
educate yourself with all the legalities of,
Yeah.
disability and all that in the country where you live.
Yeah, you need to always go out there and seek for information. Me, most of the time I learn by talking to a lot of people. It's not about me selling my business out there because I've learned a lot of stuff which I never knew about if I was sitting quiet. I've met a woman, I never knew her from anywhere. She directed me to an office where I went there. At that time, Angelo was still in nappies, and I was able to get the government to pay for it because he's past a certain age where it's because of his disability. That's why he's still incontinent.
Yeah.
So the government were the ones they were
Paying for the
providing,
diapers.
providing the diapers all the time. I never knew about it. It's because I observed the child in the bus. We were sitting together, and then the way the child was going on, I made a comment, and then I asked her. I said, "Is your child, does your child have any additional needs?" She said, "Oh yeah, my child is autistic." That's how we got into a conversation. One thing led to the other. I found myself gaining from this service.
Yeah. So the point here is don't be quiet, especially we in the African community. We know, that when we have kids with special needs, we seem to put them away. We don't want them to be part of the community, which is wrong. So Talk to Me Africa, we expose such, we educate each other, and we let the world know that we from Africa, we also have these needs and we need the support. There's no need to be ashamed. There's no need to hold on to your taboo that it's because they didn't pay my full bride price. I had this child. I didn't give my uncle a bottle of wine. That's what this happened to me. That's why this happened to me. No, no, no. Like Leonard said, you have to analyze it, look at it and question why. Question why. When you do that, you learn more. And so other people learn from you and we can only go forward. So thank you guys so much, Leonard, Giselle. Thank you so much for being on Talk to Me Africa today. For anyone who watched us online, thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support, your words of encouragement to these parents. And if you have questions, please send them on. They can follow up and reply later. And if you have a topic similar to this or any topic that we can handle and give it an African touch, we will do so on Talk to Me Africa. The final and what I love about doing this show is listening to people talk about African proverbs. So Giselle, let's start with you. What's your African proverb that you want to share with us today?
I don't even know me, the African today, so I don't know.
You can say it in any
Okay,
language. It doesn't matter, but try to tell us what it means.
Okay, my mom, she has something that she's always. I like it. Wait till you know want and tomorrow, no greed today. So what you do not want to see tomorrow, do not accept it today. Because if you agree that thing today, tomorrow you will be forced for continue for live with them. You know, if you turn around tomorrow, talk say no, I don't want me again. No, but now you be agree yesterday. So if somebody, for example, if somebody they get like bad, maybe they exhibit some level of bad behavior or whatever,
you condone
as
it.
long as you accept it today, you will have to continue accepting it tomorrow.
So put a stop right now to what you don't want. Okay, I like that. Leonard.
I'll go with the popular one. Let's say, but I'll add the flesh to it. I think I designed a suit last year and I had all that written on them. By the way, I'm also
I was going to comment. Yeah, you're a fashion
enthusiast.
designer. So
I don't want to say designer yet. I'm a fashion enthusiast. I create my own things.
I had a question in the beginning about what you're wearing, but I kept telling myself, don't ask yet. Don't ask yet. It's very beautiful. I like it.
Thank you. So they say it takes a village to raise a child in Africa, right? We all accept that.
Yes.
I will go further by saying it takes a special needs child to raise the awareness and consciousness of a village.
Wow.
Yes.
Can you repeat that?
It takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
But it takes a special needs child to raise the awareness and consciousness of a village.
Yes.
Wow.
Excellent.
There's nothing else to add to that. Because we learn from these children every single day. Yeah. When you were getting married, you know, or thinking about raising a family, or those of us who grew up in Africa, you automatically a mom at 16 just because your aunt you had a niece or you had neighbors who had children. So you start taking care of those children. Now you start exhibiting parental tendencies, right? And so you plan on, if I have my child, do the same thing, but then you have a special needs child. That child start teaching you stuff. You're like, I thought I had parenting down, but I did not. The village thought they had it down on how to raise children. They did not. That child's teaching everybody else. Leonard, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We shall conclude the broadcast for today. I try to do this every Saturday. If you have any topic you want us to discuss on Talk to Me Africa, you can inbox me or let me know, and we shall do this together. Thank you, everyone on Zoom, and thank you, everyone on Facebook. God bless you, Giselle. God bless you, Leonard. God bless all the special needs parents with special courage. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Nice to meet you, Leonard.
All right, same here.